Hello. I want to cover something that I keep coming across in discussions with people and about topics and those sorts of things. Have you been in a discussion with someone and say it's something about politics or something like that? I'll just cut straight to the quick. A discussion about Trump. Have you ever noticed people just sort of spout off with some talking point about Trump, such as he's a sexist, he's a racist, he's a terror. I actually saw someone say this. Donald Trump is the biggest terror on the planet. All of these sorts of things. Have you encountered this? I have. I have definitely encountered this. And what is disturbing about this is if you actually look at what the media is saying and then look at what these people are saying, there's not much of a difference. And the reason why is because what they are doing is they're spouting talking points from the media. This is something that I have been really disturbed by in the last few years, and that is a near complete lack of critical thinking. People are just going by what they're being fed by the media. And when I say by the media, I mean by like one source of media. See, this is the thing. We need to go to multiple sources. In my case, I go, the information that I get, I was asked this, where do you get your information if you don't get it from the media? Well, I do get it from the media, but I don't get it from one source. I get it from multiple sources, and then I see what the commonality is. For instance, the infamous grabbing the pussy comment from Trump in that Billy Bush interview. This is a grand example of how people just took a ball and just ran with it without thinking or actually looking at things. I'm going to flat out say that that statement Trump made was disgusting. There was no reason for it. But the thing is, Billy Bush, he had a lot of responsibility in that whole thing. A responsibility to the point to where his wife is now separating from him for some of the things that were said in that interview. I urge people to go to the actual transcript of that interview, and you will see that Billy Bush was instigating this whole thing. Instead of pulling the throttles back and saying, whoa, this is getting out of control, he didn't. He just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and as a lot of things with guys or girls, there was a one-upmanship going on. And Trump is a one-upper. He always has been. This is probably a key to his success, by the way. I know people think he is an unsuccessful dullard, but he's not. He runs multiple businesses. I think he's had 4 bankruptcies. However, his bankruptcy to success ratio, I think, is pretty high. In other words, I think his success amount is higher than his failure rate. That's better than our last 2 presidents who, let's see, George Bush ran a baseball team and ran it badly, and he also ran an oil company into bankruptcy. And President Obama's, I think his whole thing was that he was a community organizer in what is now the most violent area of the United States, or one of the most violent areas of the United States, and that is Chicago. Getting back to my point, I'm seeing this lack of critical thinking, and I'm also seeing a lack of people getting information from non-biased sources. CNN is biased. This is for sure. Fox is biased. Fox is biased in the pro-Trump range, whereas CNN is totally anti-Trump. Now, the thing is, this is something else that people who are spouting these points, they fail to do, and that is when you ask them to back their statement up. They fail. They cannot answer beyond what the media has said. Another example. Trump is a racist. Well, what makes you think he's a racist? Well, what he said about Mexicans. He hates all Mexicans. Well, he's never said he hates all Mexicans. He has never said that he doesn't want Mexicans in this country. What he has stated is he wants violent, felonious immigrants that are here illegally to be removed from this country. I'm trying to understand why this is a bad thing. I'm absolutely, I don't get it. I personally don't like having violent felons from another country in this country. I don't know why people would want this. So yeah, it's just people are not getting their information from unbiased sources, or they're getting it from one source, and that's usually CNN. Sources I go to are sometimes I'll go to CNN, sometimes I'll go to Fox. I'll go to online commentators, one of them being Styx Hexenhammer, another being Sargon of Akkad. Yes, they're a little over to the right sometimes. Actually, Styx is libertarian, flat out. And Sargon, he's kind of liberal himself. I know people will say, "Oh no, he's not." No,
he's liberal.
He's a liberal. He's for a lot of freedoms, but he doesn't like the way people are trying to get freedoms. But another source I'll go to is unedited video. If you go to the Donald Trump speech where he supposedly says he hates all Mexicans, he doesn't say that at all. And that's the problem with what these people are saying, is they don't actually go to the source and actually look at the source and say, oh wait, that's not what he said. So, and I think what this is doing is it's really destroying conversation in this country. It's damaging conversation, because what people are doing is they're just really sticking themselves down into this, well, not sticking themselves down, but really digging in and staying with these media talking points, which they've been, it doesn't take much research to find that they're weak. They're not exactly wrong, so to say, but they are weak, and they're making people do arguments that just are bad, and they're leading to what we're having right now is the protests, all these violent protests, and all of these things that are happening. Amber, do you have anything to say on this topic, or about?
Yeah, I know. This is the same shit I see all the fucking time. Like, it's gotten a little bit better now, but it's still pretty bad. At this point, like, it's better than it was during the elections or before the elections. Yeah, people just, like, you see it all the time, like, oh, well, back before it was Trump is Hitler, and oh, Trump's a dangerous man, and oh, Trump's a sexist, and all this stuff, and they never, again, like you said, they never have any real facts. Oh, the tape. And they're like, well, the tape said, that, if you actually listen to what was said, oh, well, how can you be defending him? Oh, you're horrible, goodbye, that sort of thing. Like, they fly off, they can't back their shit up. They fly off the handle. Oh, you want me over there?
Yeah, come on over here.
If I can fit over there.
I think so.
Alright.
Technical difficulties. Alright, there we go. Hey, look!
Hey! So, yeah, they fly off the handle when you, like, bring shit up. Like, when you point, or when you point out, like, the truth, or, oh, what's even worse, you find live footage, or you find something that's legit, and it totally debunks what they're saying, and you post it, and then they disappear, and then, like, you'll hear from them a few weeks later saying the same bullshit.
Oh, yeah, that happens a lot.
What the fuck, man? It's like they act like they didn't see it, so they don't have to acknowledge it. I mean, they probably did see it.
Right. That does happen. It's like, instead of sticking around to defend their point that just got blown completely out of the water by actual proof, yeah, they run away. And Yeah, I forgot about that. That does happen, and that's a dead giveaway. That's a dead giveaway. They're going straight by the media. They're not.
Well, it's obvious. Like that one dude, like that one friend of yours that with Unicorn Riders.
Oh my God! Yeah, I had a friend who is no longer a friend, who was trying to prove. What was it? It was trying to prove how Antifa isn't all that bad. And the page that he linked me to was called Unicorn Riot, and Unicorn Riot is a backer of Antifa.
It's non-biased source. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the thing. Oh, it's a non-biased source. No, it's not. This is about as non-biased as Fox.
Remember when he gave you, this was back a while ago, but he gave you something to read about. It was, I forget what topic it was, but he posted a website that he went to, or an article in the website, and one of, like, you know how like websites have like the main titles of like the sections that you want to go to click on for links. One of the links was racism in America.
Yeah.
So obviously it's going to be a biased source, because that's one of their main things that they talk about. So obviously it's on front and center. So anything that's racially, the topic is racial, they're looking for racial topics because that's their main thing. That's one of their main things. So obviously it's going to be biased. Anyone with half a brain cell, supposedly he's going into psychology, should be bright enough to know that.
Right.
That it's not, it's like basic. It's like basic shit.
And it's really depressing because as Amber said, he's going into psychology and he's falling for all this stuff. And once again, critical thinking is not being engaged. Now, I'm not saying I'm better than everybody, because I'm sure every now and again I'm going to screw up and I'm going to respond directly to a headline. I think a lot of people do that nowadays because, first of all, some of these things I don't want to even click on. I don't know where they're taking me, and I'm not going to click on
All the
it.
ones we pop up and there's all these pop-ups.
And so what I will do, a lot of the time, I will put in asterisks or something like that, responding to headline only, and saying what a horrible headline this is, or what a horrible thing to say, or what a smart thing to say, and whatever. But that's something I try to do. I think I've done it twice, but I'm getting better.
No one reads a lot. Most of the time, when people flip out, especially people get angry, they flip out. They don't read the article. I remember even before Trump happened, and this has been happening for some time. There was something in Africa that had happened, and I guess some people were burning people alive.
Oh yeah.
That's a different one. This is different from. But yeah, that too. But you can talk about that later. But this one was about pedophiles being burned for being pedophiles in Africa. And if they had read the actual article, because it wasn't that long, most articles aren't, because people don't have great writing skills these days. But anyway, so it was a shorter article, but there was some reading. And if you actually read the article, in the middle of the article, it said that most likely these people were not guilty of pedophile is because they were foreigners, and the people were scared of them because they were foreigners, and they had no proof whatsoever. So they were burning people alive with no proof, calling them pedophiles. And everyone was like, you'd read it down, like, they hadn't read the article because they were like, yeah, burn those fucking pedophiles, there's sick people going after kids, and but I know what you're talking about. Go ahead with that one, though.
Yeah, you probably have seen this going around and around. It's a picture. It's a horrific picture. There's just bodies laid out like cordwood that are burned, and in the background there's a building with people milling around it. And every now and again you'll see this picture resurface, and it's like Muslims burning Christians alive, or Christians burning Muslims alive, or all of this stuff. And the fact of the matter is, and if you see this picture, report it as a lie if they're using it to say so-and-so is burning people alive. This was an accident that happened years ago, I think in Rwanda or someplace like that, where a oil tanker exploded and it blew up and burned all these people instantly. So this picture that's going around, when you see it and they say, oh, Muslims burning people alive, or anyone doing that, that is disgusting, because those people were totally innocent, for all we know, that got taken out by what is essentially an industrial accident. It was an oil tanker, I think, oil train or something like that, that exploded, and it took out an entire, it took out a town, a small town of people. So, once again, I saw this pop up, and I saw people cursing Muslims and saying how bad Muslims were and what monsters they were. And I had to come in and say, this is actually not that. This is, if you use your critical thinking skills and actually look at this picture, you'll see there's something funny about it. And that is the fact it was repeated, or it was initialized years and years ago after a horrific accident in some African province. So yeah, there's that.
There's also great skills with Photoshop. Photoshop is not hard. You can make I know personally, you can make lots of stuff in Photoshop. It's not hard. And it's also not hard to write a bullshit article. And honestly, like, some things out there are true and some things out there are not. And sometimes it'd be hard, to figure out, like, what's true and what's not. Sometimes it's easy, but sometimes it's a little harder. But it's really messed up, because we live in a time where a lot of the stuff we're not 100% sure it's true or not. And some people are just, some evil people are really just laughing at this, because it's using people's psyche. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
It is a psychological attack. Basically, they're getting people to respond and act in ways they wouldn't before. And it's hard to know what is true and what is not. That's why live footage is so awesome, unless, of course, it's staged. But a lot of live footage isn't staged. Some of it probably is, but you can usually tell a little bit. But it's hard, because, again, we live in this time where we can't really believe everything we see in front of our eyes. And that's not to say that the media back in the old days was any better, because you could just write bullshit down and say it was true as well.
Right, and there was really no way to actually chase it and see if it was true.
So there's more out there to make sure that you can see if it was true or not, but there's also more lies as well, because there's more information. And information itself is just information. It doesn't mean it's true or false. Information is information. And basically it can be false or true, and you need to use your critical thinking and maybe what you've experienced in your life to kind of justify and look at and see if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But it's really, really hard, and people got to be, at least with the article, it's so easy not to flip out over a title with just read the rest of the article. I mean, that's all you had to do. I had this one girl, she was going after me. She got all pissed off, She was going after me, saying, like, oh, I'm a nut or something, and Islamophobe or something. And, she was freaking out. Then just beforehand, she had posted this article and was freaking out about it. She didn't even read the article, because in the article it was saying it didn't even happen, or like, I think it was like some black guy did something. They're trying to say all these white Nazis did it. And it was some black dude.
Oh, was that the
he spray painted
on
something on it, and he actually did it to like draw it to whatever.
Yeah,
and it was in the article.
Yeah.
And maybe it had been added in, but they were all freaking out. Oh my God, everyone's...
They were just going by the headline, I think.
So can you imagine a whole bunch of people just going off headlines, or just going off of wrong or biased articles? And if it puts out some bullshit, I've seen some of the stuff they put out. Like, this is pretty nutty. Getting people riled up who somehow don't have the ability to look at other things. I don't know. Are they lazy? Are they retarded?
Right.
I mean, why can't you look into other sources? Why can't you question things? And you're going to have all these people that are going to be drawn into doing violence because their psychology is so warped, because they're so one-sided. They can't even look at the bigger picture.
Exactly. And to close this video... another thing is the country of Kekistan and the Pepe memes. For a while, actually to the very day, the media is saying that these are used by white nationalists and by white supremacists and by Nazis and all of this sort of stuff. And I actually had some friends get upset with me because I posted the Kekistani flag, and they're like, "What are you, a white nationalist?" And I said,
Wow.
What are you talking about?" And they give me the media spin of what this flag represents, and it's a Nazi flag, and I'm like,
It's always been a
it's
joke.
not a Nazi flag. It is based off a Nazi flag to, well, let me just put it this way. Kekistan and the Pepe memes are from 4chan, and they're from people from 4chan, and what they are is trolls. That's the whole thing. They are internet trolls, and they are just doing this to get a rise out of you.
That's not hard.
It's not hard. And it's like the flag of Kekistan and the idea of Kekistan came about because of the identity politics crap that's going on these days. And, you know, if you're going to recognize blah, 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 then recognize Kekistan.
Yeah, because they identify as Kekistanians.
They identify as Kekistanians, and it's all a joke.
Identity.
It's all fake. If you actually look at their Kekistani flag, it has Kek written where the swastika would have been on the flag. The flag that they use is actually a green version of the flag from German Kriegsmarine, or their Navy, in 1939 to 1945. And this flag is red and black, and it's got a swastika on it. And it has an iron cross up in the upper left sometimes. The Kekistani flag is basically, they took that flag, turned it green, put Kek where the swastika is, and put the flag, or the symbol, for 4chan! There. It's like, if you know what you're looking at, you'll see this is a troll thing.
But you have, like, this is how stupid and how dumb you can't even take groups seriously anymore. Like the Southern, what was it?
The Southern Poverty Law Center. Yeah.
Yeah, they fucking are saying, like, oh, it's a hate symbol. So then people are like, oh, well, they said it, so it must be true. I can't tell you how much bullshit I get from that organization in my mailbox.
Well,
bullshit.
Well, remember, they called Ayaan Hirsi Ali and Majid Nawaz, what were they called? They were called not anti-Semitic. They were
probably Islamophobes, probably.
Oh, Islamophobes.
Oh, one of them is a Muslim, and one used to be.
And the one that used to be has reasons for not being a Muslim anymore.
Most people are really not being Muslim anymore. Say it right on.
So, all right. So, we'll just conclude this video. If you have any comments, please leave them in the comments section. And if there's any more points that we can cover, please tell us. And you have a good day. Bye-bye.